Hello, welcome to UDAYA. My name is Jamila Norman, and today I will be making for you chickpea curry with pumpkin and an herbed chutney rice. Okay, so this is a recipe that's inspired by my Caribbean background. My dad's from Trinidad, my mom's from Jamaica, and there's a lot of Indian influence in Trinidad. And so this curry dish is something that I grew up preparing, and I'm really excited to share with you guys. Okay, so we're just gonna go through the ingredients so you guys will kind of know what I'm working with, and then we'll get to it, okay? So with the pumpkin dish, actually, this is actually butternut squash. You can use butternut squash. You can use whatever pumpkin that's kind of like local to you. Kabocha's really nice. So just something that's really rich in color and flavor and is a little bit sweet. So something that wouldn't work well would be like an acorn squash. It's too light and bland. So just something rich in flavor. Butternut squash usually you can find anywhere and can work really well. But there's a special pumpkin that we use in Trinidad and Jamaica that we usually use. So this is what we have: butternut squash, chickpeas, also known as chana peas in the islands, chana, red onions, garlic, ginger, some curry powder, a really nice mix, more of an earthier mix. So there are many different mixes. So just whatever you like of a yellow curry. There's a Jamaican curry, there's a Trini curry, so just a nice good curry powder. Some fresh bay leaves, some hot pepper. Now let's talk about pepper. Lots of peppers are used in the islands, and the main one we use is Scotch bonnet. This is a local variety we found here in Bulgaria that's really good, but I hear it's super spicy. That's what we want to go for. And you can use as spicy or as unspicy as you want. If you just want something with a little bit of flavor and a little bit of heat, choose a pepper that doesn't have that much heat. In the islands, we usually use Scotch bonnet, and we put it in whole, and you get the flavor and not so much heat. Once you open it up and expose the seed, that's when it gets really spicy. So you can adjust the heat of your dish by just kind of like how you add your ingredients. Okay, and of course, salt and pepper. And we're gonna do all of this. Our oil of choice will be coconut oil. Very reminiscent of the islands. It's just a good base. Instead of olive oil, it just kind of goes well with these flavors. And then we're gonna do an herbed rice. And so the idea for this rice was usually when we're eating spicy curries, there's always like maybe a green chutney or a mango chutney or something like that that goes with it. So I decided, how can I just, instead of having to make 3 separate things like curry, make rice, make chutney, and we can just mix it all together, we're just gonna put all of those chutney flavors right into the rice, and we'll have a rice that's already kind of like cool and refreshing that we'll serve alongside with the curry. So in the rice, we're gonna add some green onions, some fresh basil leaves that's been minced, some fresh mint, so that's really what's gonna cool it down, lemon juice, pistachios, and just a little bit of pepper, but these are not spicy. This is just a pepper with flavor, like a Hungarian pepper or something like that. Just something just for a little flavor, but no heat, because we already have heat in the dish. Okay? So we'll turn that on to about medium-high heat, and we're gonna add the coconut oil and get that heated up. Okay? So just a couple of tablespoons of coconut oil into the pan. Okay? And we're gonna add our wet seasonings. Like when I cook, I usually have kind of like 3 layers of flavor that I add. We start off with like wet seasoning, so that's like your garlic. So about a cup of fresh chopped onions. Okay. Wet seasoning number 1, some fresh garlic. Okay. This is garlic that's been minced, so that's about a little over maybe about 2 tablespoons of fresh garlic. And then something that we use a lot in the islands, ginger, fresh ginger. So that is the base. That's gonna kind of like start the flavors of the dish. So these are like your wet seasonings, right? Saute that up in the coconut oil. Okay? I'm just gonna turn the heat. Once you get the pan heated up, If stuff starts cooking too fast, just turn it down a little bit. And I always like to add a little bit of salt to my onions and my garlic. I like to add a little bit of salt, and that just helps to cook it down faster. It pulls the water out of the onions and helps to kind of like cook it down and wilt it down faster. So you want to just saute that. You saute that until the onions become kind of translucent, and you'll smell it. You can cook by smell, cook by, sight, just kind of look and see. Once you get used to how things go, you really don't need a recipe anymore, It just kind of becomes second nature, so. All right, and so now, important in curries, you want to add your curry powder to the oil and the onions, right? And that helps to kind of like release all of the scents, and it helps to just kind of like bring out all the flavors. If you just put the curry powder in there, kind of like into the liquid, it's gonna have a totally different flavor. So probably like 3 tablespoons of curry powder. And the good thing about curry powder is that it's a mixture of somewhere between, 5 to 10 or more different spices, depending on, where you get it. So, so you don't have to worry about, I'm gonna add this spice, I'm gonna add that spice. Obviously, if you're cooking from scratch and you wanna make your own curry powder, more than happy to do that. You can absolutely do that. But, when we're short on time, just buy a nice mix that you like and just go with that. So now, after we've added our curry, we're gonna add our chickpeas. And we have some already cooked chickpeas. This is what's gonna kind of make this a really quick and simple dish. Canned beans, they've already been soaked, they're already cooked, they're really good to go. We're just gonna add that to the dish. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. Like, once you add the chickpeas and you're mixing it in, you just see all that yellow from the curry. Okay, so about 2 cups of chickpeas. And when you're working with canned beans, you just wanna rinse them, you drain them and rinse them off a little bit. So it just kind of gets rid of all the excess sodium and such. And then we're gonna add our pumpkin. So about 3 cups of the pumpkin. I'm from a big family. I have children, I've got 3 boys. I grew up with a family of, 6 of us. My mom and dad, that's, 8 in the house. So, I always cook big portions. So I don't know what it is to cook for like, less than 4 people. But, you can definitely half this recipe, and you can definitely, double it, if you're trying to feed a crowd. So you're just adding all that in, mixing it all up. And then you just want to add some liquid. You can do a veggie broth. You can just do water, which is what we're going to do right here. Okay. So we got some fresh water. We're going to add a couple of cups of water here. And then we're gonna season this with salt and pepper and let that come to a simmer, okay? And really the only thing that needs to cook in here is the butternut squash, right? Or your pumpkin. That's the only thing that needs to cook. The beans are cooked, so this is why this dish is kind of like pretty simple and quick, Almost forgot your pepper. So with the pepper, we're gonna put it in whole because we don't want it super spicy. If you want it super spicy, you can cut this open, expose it, but we're just gonna put the whole pepper in there and 2 bay leaves. We cook with a lot of bay leaves in the islands, right? So you add 2 bay leaves, that's gonna give it some really nice flavor on top of that curry as well. So put the pepper in there. It's just gonna release its flavor, a little bit of the heat and not too much. Mix that up. Add a little bit of salt and pepper. Oh my God, and that already tastes pretty good. Like I know the flavors are good. It's a good amount of curry, the ginger and the garlic and everything's coming through. Some fresh cracked black pepper. Don't you love that sound? I love that sound. One more time, and then we'll cover that and let that simmer. And I'll turn up the heat because we turned it down because we don't want this to, turn that up to a simmer, cover that, and let that simmer. And you just want your pumpkins to just cook until it's like fork tender, and you can serve that with the rice. All right, so we're gonna move over here to the rice. So in a bowl, I've already got, bring that up so you guys can see it. I've already got a cup, about 2 cups of rice that have been cooked. We're gonna add a little bit of coconut oil. That's gonna give it some flavor, okay? And it's gonna also help to kind of like separate the oil, and it just ties the 2 dishes together with that base. Mix that into the rice first. Okay. Mix your oil into the rice. And then you add your chutney ingredients. So like I said earlier, I was kind of looking at a really cool way that we can bring that chutney and all those herby and fresh flavors into this dish, and just instead of, making a separate chutney and a whole nother something you have to make, just add it to the rice. So this is fresh basil. And chutney, usually has cilantro and a couple of other things. So we decided to go with what we had local. We had some fresh basil, so that'll go well. That's kind of like a little bit of those Thai flavors. We got some fresh mint, so that's really what's gonna kind of like make it cool and refreshing. Okay. And you're just doing a couple of tablespoons of each. A pepper just for flavor. Normally the chutney will have, it'll be spicy, but we've got enough spice in the dish, so we're just adding a pepper for flavor. Add a little bit more protein with some pistachios and some green as well. So some freshly chopped pistachios and then green onions. Okay. And you just kind of do this by sight. There's no real specific formula for how much you add. Just, whatever you like the most of, put that in there, and just round it off with the rest. And then we'll do some fresh lemon juice. And once again, I just like to squeeze the lemon right in your hand. You can catch the seeds. Okay? You can catch the seeds right there in your hand. And you see that? You get the juice, and here are the seeds right there. Okay? Squeeze that. Dry off my hands. And this is looking really good. I'm kind of excited about this. And I just started this whole herbed rice dish. Once I did a raw food challenge with some friends of mine, and it just became how can I incorporate just kind of more raw things into my meal? How can I make things pretty? Look how beautiful that is. Okay? That is so gorgeous. And I know it tastes good, right? So we're gonna taste that in a minute anyways. I always taste my food before I serve it, okay? We're just not gonna assume that because it's beautiful, tastes good. We have to taste it. A little bit of salt. And a little black pepper. Okay. One of my favorite things ever to do, crack black pepper. Okay. And I can smell the curry over there, and you can see it's just steaming away. Okay, we're just gonna put a little bit of that in our hand, and we're just gonna taste that, okay? Just light and refreshing, a little bit more salt. See, if I had just assumed it looked good, it must taste good, people are gonna be shaking salt on the table, and I'm gonna be offended. So just take care of that beforehand. So that's good, that's refreshing. I taste that mint, a little bit of coconut milk, or rather that coconut oil. All right, that's good. So we're done with our rice, and then we're gonna check on our curry. Smells amazing, okay? Okay, let's put that to the side. All right. Okay, that's beautiful. So our butternut squash is really tender, and you can check it by like pressing it against the side of the pan, and if it just kind of like presses, then that's really good. And you can see the pepper, show that to you guys. It's kind of like, you know, kind of shrunken, and you know, all those flavors came out, so that's good. So let's taste. I like to just put it on my finger right here, fleshy part of your finger and of your hand. Yummy, that's good. Okay, so we are ready to serve. So we'll just turn that off so it doesn't cook anymore. And we'll get a plate and we'll serve it up. Okay, get that ready. So we'll get some rice first. It's that beautiful herbed rice. That's amazing. Okay. And I'll use that same spoon just to get that and make sure I get some of these amazing good juices. And put that right down the center. See that? Look at those colors. Oh my God. Just add that right there. Okay. Get a little bay leaf in there for decoration. It's also a sign of good luck for someone who gets the bay leaf. If you're with someone who really likes hot pepper, you can just put that right there on the plate for them. My dad was that guy in the house that loved to eat hot peppers. So he always just got his hot peppers, ate it fresh. We'll sprinkle on a little bit of fresh green onions, a little bit of mint, and we're done. And there it is, our chickpea pumpkin curry over rice with chutney. Thank you. Enjoy.